scholars. It is Monday, um, May 11th, and this is a video that's going to tell you all about your lessons for the 11th and the 13th for English. So this week you're going to take notes on sources B and C. The first step is watching this video that you're watching right now. Then it tells you to open up my research notes document from last week. It also specifies if you submitted it, you need to unsubmit it so you can edit it. So when you go down, you're going down to last week, which was week 3, and you're clicking on my research notes. And you should have your research notes here. Okay? And then once you open up your research notes, you're going to take notes on sources B and C like the video tells you. So if you remember last week, I took notes on source A. So here was my research notes. I filled in my name and I filled in my topic. And then I went to source A and I took notes. And I took notes of things that were in my own words. And I took notes of quotes that I really liked. And I also made sure I put the website here so that I can always go back and find the website. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it with my other sources, source B and source C. So when I'm done with this week's assignment, it's going to have source A done like this. It's going to have source B done as well. So I have source B, I have my website, then I have, these are all the notes I took from that website. Most of my notes are in my own words. And then the last thing I'm going to finish, source C. And source C is also going to have all of my notes. And I'm going to specify if they come from the article, it's like a direct quote, or if it's in my own words. When you write your research paper, everything's going to have to be in your own words. So I highly recommend putting it in your own words when you do this activity. Okay? And then the steps next say, make sure you have notes on the person or people's lives and activities before, during, and after World War II. So I also need to make sure that I have notes about Virginia Hall, my topic, before the war, during the war, and after the war. So when I look at my sources, a lot of my source here talks about like before the war, she quit college. Before the war, she had this childhood where she lived in Baltimore. Before the war, she did outdoor activities. Then I have details about during the war. She worked for the Special Operations Executive. She was an undercover agent. What else? She planned jailbreaks. And then I also need to make sure I have some stuff about her life after the war. After the war, she avoided the spotlight. She didn't grant many interviews. She was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross after the war. She ended up joining the CIA and keeping a low profile after the war. So I need to make sure I have that for every source. I have something about her life before, during, and after the war. And so if I go up, I'm going to just check here. I have things about her when she was very little, so before the war. I have things about her injury that she had before the war. I also have what she did during the war. She was a spy. She consistently changed her appearance. She had to walk 3 days to escape to Spain when she was being pursued as a spy by the Nazis. And then I also have after the war. She joined She joined the CIA after the war. And then I would just check it for my last source and just make sure I have some details from before the war, during the war, and after the war. So before the war, she was from a wealthy family. Before the war, she wanted to be a foreign service officer. During the war, she saved countless lives. During the war, she worked for Great Britain and the United States. During the war, she fled France over the Pyrenees Mountains. And after the war, she was celebrated but didn't want a lot of attention. So I think I did that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is turn the document in again to last week's assignment. So you're going to turn it in here. So this is where it is, right? My research notes. And you're just going to turn it in, and it's going to be graded on this rubric. You should have the title page filled out. Source A has a website. Source A has notes. The notes are filled in like mine. Source B has a website. Source B's notes are filled in. Source C has a website. Source C's notes are filled in.